some of you are curious about what the world of the entrepreneur is all about. So I've thought about this question a lot as an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for about 10 years of my life. I'm on my 5th business. I've seen them successful. I've seen them fail. So I've got a lot of experience as an entrepreneur. And I try to boil it down to something that everybody could grab onto. One of the first things I want to talk about is how entrepreneurs are crazy. Does anyone here know a crazy entrepreneur?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. What makes entrepreneurs crazy is a handful of things, right? But for the most part, an entrepreneur is a risk taker. And that's why most people think that entrepreneurs are crazy. Who would think that that's a good idea? Just that guy. But then sometimes that good idea becomes Twitter, or it becomes Facebook, or sometimes it becomes a company you've never heard of because it failed. Because risk takers have to accept that there's failure from time to time. It's not everything works. Risk takers, as an entrepreneur as a risk taker, can sometimes identify something really, really small that none of you actually care about. And you shouldn't, because it's just not in your radar. It's not something that makes your heart sing. But sometimes entrepreneurs can grab on that little nugget, and they see just something a little bit more clear than someone else. And through that little bit of clarity, they can build something gigantic out of that. So to start off with, entrepreneurs are generally risk takers. I've taken a lot of risks in my life. Started 4 businesses, 3 of which collapsed in the 08-09 apocalypse, which is one of the best and worst things that ever happened to me. But I've seen it. Now, the other thing that makes an entrepreneur is being crafty. You know what I mean by crafty? Right? Kind of like a chameleon. I might wear a suit one day and pretend I'm actually well dressed. Most of the time I'm wearing a hoodie with shoes that have holes in them, because I just don't care. But entrepreneurs can also solve problems, like no one else can solve problems. For instance, entrepreneurs can use things like overdraft fees as a form of financing. Did you ever think of that? I pay $35, I can float a day. Right? Because entrepreneurs do crazy stuff like that from time to time. Because it's not always, like we talked about in the Entrepreneurial Magazine, that everybody's got $1 billion to go and do their project. Sometimes your cash flow just doesn't hit. So you've got to come up with some creative solutions to get through that. And we just talked about this the other day with my senior project manager. It looks like we're going to use the overdraft fee for another day of financing. And it works. And it would scare the crap out of most people. But entrepreneurs, again, are risk takers, right? And they're a little crafty. They might find an unusual solution for duct tape that you might not think of. And who knows, that could be their next invention or their next big hit. Beyond that, entrepreneurs are super passionate. Not always about something you care about again. But they can be passionate about the dumbest things on the planet, or they can be passionate about the most exciting things on the planet, like an Elon Musk, right? We can create Tesla, or maybe shoot a rocket into space and then land it on a little barge. And who doesn't like seeing a billionaire just blow billions of dollars on missing a barge 10 times in a row? I love that type of stuff. I love watching these guys take a pile of money in the middle of a table, a little bit of gasoline, and just set it on fire, just to see what happens, because that's what entrepreneurs do with their passion. You know, they also go down roads where they're not sure what the passion is yet. You know, when I first started off, I started off as a developer in real estate. So I had a development company, I had a real estate brokerage, and then as we discovered that we had a passion for building sustainable properties, we realized that all our contractors were burning money learning how to build green on our dime. So we started a construction company. That's what entrepreneurs do, right? Then we started buying green products, like cabinets and tile and all sorts of stuff like that. You know, the stuff that has that green label on it because it doesn't have formaldehyde in it, or it's made of a renewable plant. And we were all about it. But you know what they do in places like Home Depot? They mark that stuff up like 500% more than the regular stuff, even though it's the same cost to manufacture. So what do entrepreneurs do? We started a material distribution company, right? And we got straight to the manufacturer, and we started vertically integrating it. And it was fantastic until 08-09 came, and it was like, wow, your $1 million building is worth 50 cents. And then you learn new lessons as an entrepreneur. But the passion is also what gets you through those crazy things. So even though I got beat up 3 times right in a row, I started another company. And I found a different passion. I'm a nerd. I like operations, so I created an operational company. And that company trains other companies on how to run their companies. It's kind of redundant, but there's good money in redundancy. You know, there's a great quote. Everybody sees the successory posters out there? Right? You ever seen the opposite of successory posters? They have these. They actually have one about consultancy. Consultancy. If you can't be part of the solution, there's good money in prolonging the problem. So I actually want to get really literal about what entrepreneur means, because it's a French word. As George Bush once said, the problem with France is they don't have any entrepreneurs. They invented the word. The word entrepreneur actually means between takers. What does that mean? To me, it means broker. It means I took this, and I took this, and I put them together. So entrepreneurship can be all about putting things together. I found this person with a need and this person with a solution, and I made a cut in between. I'm an entrepreneur. So it could be, has anybody ever done that before? So we've got some other entrepreneurs, whether you like it or not. Finally, just like the title of this speech, being an entrepreneur is all made up, right? Because the reality is, all of us have passions. You have passions about what you do. You have different ways that you express the passions, different things that you do about it, different ways that you leverage those passions and people that you meet. You might come to a Toastmasters group and leverage your passion for speaking with the social function of what this is, and then you might create a whole new thing. And even though you don't make money off of it, you might be in between and taking. You might be an entrepreneur and a broker. Thank you.